What's going on, people? Welcome to the player ratings. Palace 1, Brighton 1. We'll be discussing all the individual performances from the game. As always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content, and as always, leave down your player ratings in the comment section down below. Patrick, it's going to be a heated one. It is. I can feel it already based on our discussions before the show started. But let's start off with a positive, and that was with Vicente Guaita. And that is an 8 from you, 8.5 from me. When you look at the game overall and you're giving your goalkeeper an 8.5, it pretty much sums up the game. He saved us in key moments. And that's why, once again, why Vieira selected him over Sam Johnson, even though some of us wants to see Sam Johnson. He was very good today. He made some very good saves.
Yeah, 3 saves, key saves, 2 against McAllister, 1 against Mitoma. The XG for Brighton today was 2.36. He faced 17 shots, only 7 on target. 1 goal he gave up. He was very, very, very good today. Can't fault him for the goal even. Played really well today. Kept us in the game.
Yeah, he did. Moving on to the final client, this was the main talking point going into the game. I gave him a 7. I sound surprised by it, and I gave the rating. And you gave him a 6. The reason why I gave him a 7 is because the hype was all on Mitoma. Mitoma who? That Mitoma. I mean, Nathaniel Klein didn't struggle against Mitoma in this game, for me anyways. And that's why I gave him a 7. I thought he had a solid game. He wasn't caught out of position that often. And he kept Mitoma as quiet as anyone else in the league would probably do. And I thought he had a solid game like that.
No, agree about with Mitoma. I think I probably gave him too low of a rating. The only thing I'm going to say is that our left side was targeted as much as our right side was. And I think that Mitoma and Estupiñán did a really good job on getting crosses in from that side. But I'm thinking now, going back on it, Estupiñán's probably not Klein's man. I'm guessing it's probably more Elise's man on the right side. So having said that, now think about it, I think Klein should get the same rating you gave him. I think he played really well today.
Yeah, he did against one of the most informed players in the league.
He did.
But
he did.
Of course, we kept him quiet and Brighton hold that. Tompkins, that's 7 from you, 8 from me. I'll be honest, going into this game, I didn't think I'll be giving James Tompkins an 8. I thought he could be one of the biggest worries actually going into the game defensively. But he was solid. He was very good. He kept it easy, kept it comfortable. And I think the reason why he did perform well is because of what Vieira asked from him. And he didn't play out from the back as much.
Right.
And as we know, that's not his strengths. And today we played to his strengths where you just focus him on the defensive element. There was a bit of support around him as well. Of course, he got that goal. That's why I gave him an 8. Yes, we consider goal. But without that goal right now, we're talking here very frustrated after defeat because there's no way we're scoring another goal if Tompkins didn't score that. And that's why I gave him an 8. I thought he'd done his job pretty well. Of course, we still want a ball-playing defender. But Richards was out, and he done a decent job today when he came in.
No, I agree. I didn't realize that he had the least amount of touches of anybody that played the entire match, 32. But like I said, he wasn't allowed to play out the back. 86% pass rating, pass efficiency, and again, he scored a very important goal. Without that goal, we don't get a point at all today. And he kept Undav and Ferguson quiet. So stepped in last minute because apparently Richards came in with a back injury. He was okay yesterday. It happened this morning. So listen, to come in that late and to do a job, good job today.
Yeah, Richards been carrying us so much that boy, his back ain't even holding on anymore.
Yeah,
exactly. Mark Gahey, 7.5 from you, 7 from me. I felt like Tompkins overall had a better game than Gahey. I don't know about the stats, but once again, he was pretty solid. There's not really much to add about Gahey's game. I think Tompkins was the main talking point in defense, anyways. Out of them two in this game. Should we move on to the next player, Tyrick Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay, Mitchell, 4 from Patrick and 5.5 from me. Now, with Ty, I love him to bits when he's performing well, attacking and going forward and having the overlaps and also being solid defensively. But more often than not, I'll be honest, he gets caught up with these far balls into the back post. And it's happened a few times this season. And once again, it's happened again. He has to learn from it. Teams are clearly targeting our back post because of our fullbacks. And I'm not saying today Klein didn't have that problem, but in the past, there's been Klein as well that struggled. There's been Mitchell. And today, I mean, cool, it's a decent ball into the box, but Tyrick just switched off. That's what it looked like from the outside anyways. Looking in, I was all the way on the other side of the pitch. But for you, Patrick, could he have done better?
Yeah, it's a big weakness of Ty is getting caught at that back post. The thing I gave him a 4, and it probably, honestly, looking at the stats, which aren't that bad, he had 2 clearances, 2 headed clearances, 1 interception, 8 recoveries, is that I just felt that Brighton were smart. We'll get into Mateta and Ayew, how they stopped the center midfielders playing today. But Brighton targeted our wide players, and they targeted Mitchell. And I thought Solly March had a really good game today. Didn't, he scored the goal, obviously. He got caught, got in behind Mitchell. But Mitchell wasn't terrible. The goal looked really bad, but I just thought they picked on him all game. They picked on him a lot, and they picked on Klein. Klein just did a little bit better job, but it wasn't one of Mitchell's better games. But looking at the stats, he wasn't as bad as a 4. It probably deserves maybe a 5.5. But on the goal, he just can't fall asleep like that. It was really bad.
So you're telling me my rating was right and you was wrong. Let's
on
move
Mitchell's
on.
correct. On Mitchell's, you're right. You were right.
Well,
I
there's
agree.
other players coming up, and trust me, if I was you, I would tune out because there's some ludicrous ratings.
They're not ludicrous.
Crazy
Only because
ratings. Crazy
Agenda
ratings.
FC. Go ahead.
But look, one of the crazy
Continue.
ratings ain't Decore because we were pretty much on the same page. You gave him a 6.5, I gave him a 6. I thought it was funny watching him play. He had some dodgy moments, he had some good moments, and I honestly feel like 6 was perfect for him. It was like a perfect game from him. He did hold it down in midfield, but there was times where not that he lost the ball. What was it? He did lose the ball. How many times did he lose the ball actually? There were just times where it was passing. I can't remember, but there was just times where things wasn't clicking. I think it was mainly passing rather
His
than
passing wasn't great.
Yeah, that's what I think it was.
It wasn't great.
Yeah.
But this is what I say. He needs a better partner in that midfield. I'm sorry. He needs a better partner. As much as we're gonna get Hughes in a minute. The Corey is press resistant when he has someone next to him that he can pass the ball and will keep the ball. But Hughes cannot keep the ball as well as the Corey can. So the Corey gives up the ball and we lose it a lot of times. I just think that honestly, he's a better person next to him. I think honestly, next match has got to be Lokonga. Try Lokonga.
Well, we talked about in the preview. We even talked about going into this game. Should Lokonga start? And I feel like that question is going to be raised even further after this performance because the Corey, it was the passing then, but he wasn't that bad defensively. He did track back, but yeah, he did lose the ball at times, which was the main negative really. But moving on to the next midfielder, Will Hughes that played alongside him. 6 from me, 6 from you. Now you can say Will Hughes didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have that many touches. What, 20 odd touches for Will Hughes or 24?
23 touches, yeah.
23 touches. Yeah. But then again, we didn't use the midfield as much. So you can have that debate. Did we use the midfield because of how we were trying to play? Brighton were pressing us high, so we kind of went a bit more direct. And we'll talk about the players involved in that. Also, Tompkins, that's probably why Tompkins had a good game, as we mentioned. But yeah, 6 for Hughes, I think that's fair from both of us anyway. So I think we both agree on that. Let us know if you agree or disagree on Will Hughes' rating. Jordan Ayew, he played through the middle, 6.5 from you, 6 from me. He was there for defensive duty. And until we get better players, Jordan Ayew is going to play in these type of games because we have weaknesses. We have weaknesses in back. We can argue we have even weaknesses in midfield. The Corey is a solid option, but as Patrick said, maybe we need someone else next to him. And until then, Jordan Ayew will have to play. Sometimes maybe out wide through the middle, but he started through the middle in this game, Patrick. Was he impressed by his performance? He was mainly used as a defensive role, of course.
Yeah, I mean, he played centrally. I think that what Vieira told him and Mateta was to press both Caicedo and second midfielder again, Pascal Gross, force them to play the ball wide. So when central defenders get it, like Burns or Webster get the ball, don't let them get the ball into those guys. They can turn in and look for, let's say, Mitoma wide, but let them put that direct ball wide, which they did it quite a few times today. And I think that really helped us because honestly, we forced Brighton to go wide, and without Ayew's pressing and then Mateta's later on, I don't think it worked. So the game plan, which is very defensive and counter pressing, was the only thing we could do today because of what plays out on the pitch. So I thought Ayew today did a good job on what he was asked to do by the manager.
Yeah, Elise, 6 from me, 5 from you. I don't think he was as bad as a 5 personally. I think if you look at the stats as well, but then again, he got subbed off. He didn't really have much to do. But then he asked the question: does he have enough support around him? When you look at attacking plays that we had on the pitch, you can tell maybe why he could potentially struggle. Jeffrey Schlupp out wide, 5 from you, 5.5 from me, and he had 15 touches. Correct. He had a very good game against Manchester United, but today he was once again quiet. You expect him to do a bit more, especially going forward. So he had a relatively quiet game and once again got subbed off. And then up front, there was a change. Edouard dropped for Mateta. Patrick, 6 from you, 4 from me. Talk to me. What did you like about his game that you gave him a 6?
As I mentioned before, he was involved in pressing both the central midfielders to force them to have their game plan was thrown out the window. They had to go wide. Secondly, he had 2 chances, 2 shots on goal. Both of them could have scored if not for Webster. Go back and watch again. Made 2 great blocks. Again, his hold-up play today was not very good. But the game plan for him today was to play that pressing game. And if he got any chances to get forward, which he had a couple, and get shots off, he did. He was not great today, but I don't think he deserved the 4.
Okay, but how many errors? Okay, so let me ask you this. For me, firstly, a striker, I want a striker to play for his actual striking abilities, especially a striker, not even a number 10. As well as his defensive role, that's a plus, but he should be good. Hold up play, very bad. I don't understand it. How can you be so tall and so physically big that your hold up play is that bad? And it's happened twice. I mean, even against Man United, Bruno Fernandes was beating him to headers. And then today, against Brighton, cool, they have more physical defenders, but he doesn't use his strengths. I'm telling you now, I would have preferred Benteke in this game than Mateta.
We don't have him anymore. So
offers more than
I would prefer Messi, but we don't have him either, or Mbappe.
Yeah.
We don't have him anymore. I ain't gonna talk about Benteke. He's gone.
All right, but for what the point I'm making is he's meant to be that physical tool striker. No, he is. So why doesn't he play to his strengths?
Do you think that?
We probably play
you think he's physical? You think he must be a physical and tall striker? He's tall. Doesn't make him physical.
No, but he's physical. He's physical.
No, he's not though. That's not his game. He's never been his game. You're wrong.
So, what is his game? That's the question. What is Mateta's game? With Edward, we question his decision making, right? He can still dribble, but his decision making, his passes or to shoot or not, he can do something. And he's also scored goals this season. Mateta, you tell me, Patrick, what is his game?
Well, what is his score again? Let's do this again. Did Mateta score goals last season? Yes or no?
Well, you're talking about last season. We're talking about Brighton player rating.
No. You asked me. You said, what is his goal? His goal is to score goals, which he did last season. He hasn't done it this year, but he has scored goals for us. He did it last year.
Okay, performances this year hasn't added up as well.
I agree.
Performances and goals ain't
I
added
agree.
up.
Let's move on. You're right. You're right. Let's go on. Who's next?
For me, I don't think it was a great game from him. I don't.
I didn't say it was great. A 6 is not great. It's not great. I said he was asked to do a role, which was to press. He had 2 shots. We had 6 shots in total. We had 2 of them. If one goes in, he's a hero, right? Like when he scored against Brighton.
If one goes in, but I could say the same with. If I could say the same with Ed, it didn't go in though. I could say the same with Edward.
Edward have a shot today? Let's go to Edward. Did Edward have a shot today? I must have missed it.
We'll talk about Edward later on. Let's
do him now. Go on the subs.
Let's move on to the bench. Let's move on to the bench now. Let's start off with the order of the bench. So Lukonga came on first, but let us know what you guys think anyways about Mateta's situation. For me, look, I just don't think he's cut at this level. He's not cut for this level of Vieira's system. I think it's as simple as that.
Neither is Edward. So you're right. I agree.
Yeah, saying that Edward has still scored goals and Edward has shown more positives than Mateta has. And he probably suits the system.
And yet,
as well.
For a biggest rival game, he doesn't get picked to start. So that's how much the manager thinks about him.
I think, as I said, Mateta started because of Tompkins starting at the back. It sounds crazy, but Tompkins, we're not. No, you said that he had the least touches, right?
I think he started because he presses better than Edward, which we needed that today. So now I agree with you on that. That's why it wasn't because of Tompkins starting. I mean, that happened this morning. So anyway, next Edward. Who's next? Lukonga?
No, Lukonga. Yeah, 6 from both of us. Yeah, I thought he was solid when he came on. He tried to bring forward passes. He wasn't bad. Yeah, he wasn't bad. I saw like him to start soon. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll talk about Lukonga in the previews, anyways, about him starting. Moving on to Ebbs, 5. This is why
pretty visible. Yeah, didn't do much.
Yeah, this is why I don't want him to start. Like people saying before the game, but for me, it's as simple as this: he's out of form. That's the reality. And people saying, why didn't Ebb start? Or why should... I know it's going to be the same thing against Brentford. Why isn't Eze starting? Why is Ulisse starting there? Or why is Ayew starting there? He's not good enough. Under Roy, we was talking about players that Roy was playing due to a lack of form. And now Vieira ain't doing the same. He ain't doing the same. Otherwise, he could easily start Eze because he's meant to be that creative player, right? And we need a bit of creativity. But he's not performing good enough. So he got dropped. He's been dropped. And until he shows it, maybe coming off the bench or not, this will most likely be his outcome. He's he has to do more coming off the bench. He has to do more for me, anyways. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about Eze's most recent form, because yeah, he's been quiet. And then let's get Patrick happy. Let's talk about Edward. There's no way Edward is a 4. And
you gave him a big 5. All right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I gave him a 5. But there's no way Edward's a 4. Why would you give Edward a 4? What did he do wrong?
He had one opportunity to put in Ahmada for goal, and he didn't do it. So there's your 4. He didn't much all games. He had one chance to go through. You don't remember it?
No,
it's funny because when during the show before you mentioned that you remembered it.
I didn't remember. I didn't remember.
Well, this is why I say, so all the fans, I always tell Dee, we should do the show, the rating show a day after. So Dee can go back and watch the game again. Watch it again, you see things you don't see when you're at the stadium. I know the stadium, the whole vibe is much better. You miss stuff. You do miss stuff.
No, normally I wouldn't miss something like that, because I talked about Edward last week and his decision making was poor. But I genuinely don't remember this one. I have to watch it back. But for me, when he did come on, I thought it was more positive than Mateta. But yeah, look, that's a game of opinions, anyways. And then finally, in terms of plays, Hamada 5.5 from both of us.
Yeah,
this was
the odd sub too, at some point.
It was an odd sub from me though. For Elise going out wide, he's not a wide player. So it was an odd sub. But yeah, he did mega Brighton player, which is good. But yeah, I'd like him to play in his position, not out wide. Hopefully that doesn't happen, because I don't think he's a wide player. And then finally, moving on to the manager, Patrick Vieira, 7 from you, 6.5 from me. Result, that's the most important thing today. We managed to get a result. The performance wasn't that great. I can't really give higher than 6.5 because of the performance at home against Brighton. I understand that we was missing players, but yeah, I thought that it's 6.5, 7. I think that's the best for Vieira. I mean, if I give it 8, it was an 8 out of 10 type of performance from Vieira, right?
I would say that based on what he had to deal with, meaning the players, losing a player the morning of the match, not having Zaha, getting a point against a team that is much better than us. I think my 7's probably too low. I should have given him an 8, honestly. I thought subs came on at the right time. He was going to sub before the goal because I was watching the game, and then even though he scored the goal, he still made the same exact sub, which is fine because they were the right subs to make. I believe that was Lokonga, and maybe Eze came on. I'm not sure. Definitely Lokonga came on. So from that standpoint, I think he definitely should have gotten at least a 7 or 8, because again, we'll talk about it again until the end of the season. He's got a very limited squad, and he can't do what he did last year. We don't have Gallagher, so we can't press. He got to play a different way. Today, his job was to neutralize a much better side in Brighton, and for the most part, he did it. So to me, he deserves at least a 7 or an 8 today.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think about Patrick Vieira's rating today. Of course, those of you that want Vieira out, I suppose is going to be below 5. Those of you who like Vieira is going to be above 5. So I'm expecting different numbers anyways. But for me, a 6.5. Based on our performance, but yeah, he didn't have the players as well. Then again, I don't know. Today it wasn't a game where I look at Vieira and say, "Oh, he should have done better," or he could have done worse. That's why I gave him about 6.5.
Can I pick up one more point? Yeah. One more point about Vieira. The last 2 times we played Brighton, we gave up late goals. Remember the 2-1-1s last season?
Yeah.
At least this time we were behind and came back, which to me deserves credit for that. So there's that.
Fair enough. But then again, it was a lucky goal. But yeah,
a lot of goals are lucky.
Flappy and Sanchez, he gave it to us, and I'm happy for that.
He gets a 1, by the way, Sanchez.
Yeah. Who? Sanchez?
Yeah, he gets a 1.
Oh, he gets a 10.
10.
He gets a 10. He's
my
my man of the match in this game. He's my man of the match in this game after Vicente. Both of the goalkeepers had a great performance. Sanchez for us, Vicente for us as well. But look, that's it from me and Patrick. For the player ratings, if you have enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and let us know your player ratings in the comment section down below. We'll be back talking something about Palace sometime soon. So if you don't want to miss that content, subscribe. And that's it from me and Patrick. And until next time, up the Palace.